Will XRP flip Bitcoin by market cap? Well, the XRP army is arguably one of the most vibrant and diehard communities in crypto. And aside from Bitcoin, it's hard to find a group of people who religiously invest in it more than anything else. A recent post on X shares this prediction, to which many community members hold the same sentiment. But is it true, and is it even possible? In this post, he says, "Sorry, I just have to make this statement again. I feel like no one feels comfortable saying this publicly. It's not said enough. XRP will flip Bitcoin. It will happen 100%. And here are some of the community members asking, what year? Bitcoin is not ISO approved. Exactly. They'll be so salty about it. I can't wait. And facts. It's a worldwide banking token. Now, this is no new news. For years, people have been posting about how XRP is the banker's token, designed to be the large crypto in the world. So it's fair that most people would share that sentiment, especially if you've invested in it. And much of this is true, as XRP has utility that's unparalleled, with major partnerships and potential for institutional adoption and growth. In this post by Tokenizer, you can see that he talks about how they are basically involved in many areas of the financial world, in the crypto world, and in the future of global growth. Right here, they now have a whole ecosystem of entities ranging from commercial banks, fintechs, Fortune 500s, government and central banks. And then here he posts a map of all of their partnerships, but a few people are starting to lose confidence. And in this situation, it's even being referred to as a stable coin. Right here, you have a woman saying, "I have lost confidence in XRP. It's cost me too much time and patience." And even here, someone saying, "Not while we're alive." And it's hard to blame them when the price action has been ranging since April of 2022. We are around the same exact price. But in this video, I'll explain why being bearish on XRP could be a major mistake, and how selling your XRP now could cause you to miss out on some crazy gains through the end of 2024. I'll also discuss the most recent news surrounding Bitcoin and what the US government recently did that caused a major scare in markets and caused Bitcoin to sell off. And also, I'll even cover if it's even possible for XRP to flip Bitcoin over the next few years. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you are going to be the richest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. So, over the last couple of months and arguably year, XRP has actually not performed too well. Most people would attribute that to a lack of a settlement and the SEC lawsuit. But as of very recently, and arguably I think today, XRP went from number 7 market cap to number 6. It is currently at a new local high of 64.6 cents and just overtook the second largest stablecoin by market cap, USDC. So there is a lack of confidence in USDC, and that's probably because people call it a Fed coin. A lot of their reserves are stuck inside of banks in the US, and so there's fears and worries that banks can play unfairly when it comes to USDC, which is why a lot of the money has flowed into the first and most major stablecoin, Tether. But it could already be argued too that Tether is as big as it is because it had first movers advantage, similar to Ethereum being the blockchain for blockchains, and then Bitcoin being the first version of cryptocurrency and cryptography and arguably money on chain. The real question becomes, can XRP flip Bitcoin? And there was a time for a very, very short while where it did, but this was very early, and since then XRP has actually lost a lot of market share. So this is a chart, you could argue that, it's very similar to the XRP dominance, but right here we have a chart of XRP to Bitcoin. In other words, for every one XRP, how much Bitcoin is it worth? And since the local high here in July of 2023, when we had the SEC lawsuit come to a closure, or at least the case came to the conclusion that XRP is not a security, things really took off. But since that point in time, it's been losing market share and growth to Bitcoin, and we recently reached our major and local low. This is the second or the third time since 2017 we've hit this low. And then whenever we hit this low in past bull markets, XRP really flew to the upside. In other words, that would need to happen again relative to Bitcoin, and it would arguably need to be a larger market cap than $1.3 trillion. Now, we've talked a lot on the channel about the potential for XRP hitting $1 trillion, $5 trillion, $15 trillion, the likely outcomes when that could potentially happen, all that stuff. But that would also have to assume, right, that XRP would grow past that while Bitcoin stays the same, which is highly unlikely for a few different reasons. And we'll dive into those very shortly. But as things stand, I can see why people would think XRP could surpass Bitcoin. Right here in the same post that we shared earlier, he says this is especially apparent when we look at Ripple XRP today, and he's talking about how success doesn't come overnight. They're now one of the most recognized fintech names, fintech being financial technology, but it didn't start out this way. By being the first DLT project to build for real world utility, and I would argue, yes, they do have real world utility, unlike many blockchains, they were able to capture much of the attention of financial leaders around the world. Now, due to the lawsuit, that has waned a bit, but that does not mean that it's not true. From starting out as OpenCoin to the giant it is today, though that's not to say they had zero traction to begin. Just take a look at the investors. It's nothing like what you would see in traditional crypto projects purely funded by VCs, from investment arms of banks like Santander, Standard Chartered, and SCB, to large players in fintech, SBI, CME, Accenture, and Google Ventures. And it's true, CME does do trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars yearly in terms of trading volume. And now XRP is officially listed on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange as the world's leading derivatives marketplace. And here you are. But in order for XRP to outperform and become the #1 market cap in the world, I would argue it probably need a different model. It would need to look more like money and less like an asset or an equity. We're looking at a $36 billion market cap, which is massive for crypto, right? But we're talking this thing would have to pump up to over $1.3 trillion while, again, Bitcoin remains the same or starts to decrease in market cap. However, XRP doesn't really perform too well in a bear market. In other words, when Bitcoin starts to go down, so does XRP. The good news is they're not all the way correlated. They used to be far more correlated. If one went up, the other went up. If one went down, the other went down. Now, XRP and Bitcoin can trade slightly differently, but overall, in a bear market, both don't do too well. Now, I went ahead and grabbed the yearly data at the start of every single January 1st since 2014 and XRP's market cap rank. And as you can see here in the early days, all the way through the year 2019, XRP was in the top 2 by market cap. So in 2014, it was number 3. Then 2015, 2016, number 2. Okay, in other words, it was actually bigger than Ethereum. Then you had 2017, number 3, 2018, 2019, number 2. Since then, it's actually lost rank by market cap. And again, you could argue since 2020, this has probably happened because of the SEC lawsuit. Still, XRP is more like an equity or a stock. They are a company run by individuals trying to solve problems. And when you look at their use cases, these are very large use cases, but these aren't new to the world, right? There are banks that already do a lot of these things, minus central bank digital currencies. But that doesn't mean that banks can't go and develop these technologies themselves. So in order for XRP to hit, 2 trillion, 5 trillion, 15 trillion, while Bitcoin is a lower market cap, you would have to argue that Ripple itself would have to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the world, number one by market cap, and we'll look at the other companies in the world that are the largest by market cap. And two, it would have to account for virtually all of the money flows of all of the banks in the world, which is just not likely, even though they do have a very large customer base and arguably institutional base. So here are the market caps of companies like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, all companies that are really profitable that that you would argue are in the magnificent seven when it comes to US stocks, and that account for virtually all of the money in the stock market. If you were to take away these companies, our markets would not perform nearly as well in the US. So typically it's the 500-pound gorilla in the room that you want to bet on. And in the case of Apple, a company that everyone uses and recognizes all around the world, we're sitting at a mere $3.35 trillion. And there was a short time a while ago, I remember it became the first company in the world to hit a $1 trillion market cap. So this is what's happened with inflation. But you would have to also assume that XRP would surpass that, which how likely is that, right? Everyone would have to have an XRP cell phone in their pocket, and then every single ecosystem would have to run through there, including banking. That's why I believe, although XRP can continue to climb in the ranks back into that second, third, maybe fourth spot, I don't believe it will ever outperform Bitcoin from here on out, as it's lost its dominance and the market has become bigger, and how Bitcoin is now going to be adopted by central banks and the USA if Donald Trump wins the election, and they'll keep it on their reserves and balance sheets, which leads me to believe that that market is going to continue to grow, which will support the rest of the crypto market. But that market has a far bigger use case and purpose. When you look at something like Bitcoin, it's there to be a reserve, or in this case, something that is similar to gold. Gold is something that is going to retain and hold its value through inflationary or uncertain environments. And when you look at the market cap of gold, we're sitting at $16.5 trillion. That is far bigger than any single company in the world, and arguably even the top three combined. So there's a far bigger market for gold that retain their value in uncertain economic times. So not only does Bitcoin serve a bigger use case and purpose as a single asset, it also has the majority of its supply already in circulation. And much of that was actually lost in the early days of Bitcoin on old hard drives, where people totally forgot that it was even a thing and worth anything. And then once Bitcoin really started to take off in 2016 to 2017, people were like, oh my God, I think I threw that old hard drive away. It's at a dumpster, yada, yada. So there is, an actual stat around between 15 to 20% of all Bitcoin has completely disappeared on these old hard drives from the early days. And then you're to take that and compound it with central banks and governments accumulating it into the future as some sort of a reserve against inflation. Then you look at the case of how it has a halving every 4 years, which now makes it deflationary, right? So there's less and less supply, but if demand stays the same or increases, and I would argue it's going to increase, then the price of Bitcoin is going to continue to climb over the years. Whereas XRP is slightly more inflationary, and we only have about 56% of the circulating supply in there. All of the tokens are already available in an escrow, and the team and the company behind Ripple are going to decide whenever the market's healthy enough and there is enough demand to slowly start to push those into circulation. You could argue, well, a lot of banks and institutional players are going to accumulate that, but if XRP or Ripple actually started selling these things without regulatory clarity or the right licenses in place, that could be a big no-no from a regulatory standpoint, and it would just cause more issues, which is why they wouldn't do that. So you can't say that, institutional players are going to go and buy it off of Ripple themselves, although that would be very helpful. Ultimately, they're just going to have to slowly fully release it into the market until we get that regulatory clarity, which I do believe will come around some point in time in the future. But I would say it's very unlikely for something like XRP, and arguably impossible for XRP to outperform Bitcoin and become the #1 market cap crypto in the world. But here's the last and final point I will make on this. I do believe XRP is a better investment opportunity than Bitcoin, which means it's far easier for XRP to 10x, right, to $360 billion and make you 10 times your money and go to $6.65 or 60 cents versus a Bitcoin 10xing from 1.3 trillion to like 12 plus trillion dollars. So in terms of actual investment opportunity, XRP is the better play. Now let's hop on over to the chart. This is the chart on Bitcoin. We have seen stupid amounts of sell pressure at the 71,800 to 600 range, okay? As of recently and yesterday, or a day and a half ago, we saw about a 5% decline on the news that the US government was going to be moving their Bitcoin, or better yet, they moved their Bitcoin. So I'm going to hop on over to Arkham Intelligence. You can see that the US government as an entity holds $13.9 billion of crypto assets, 13.5 billion of it being in Bitcoin itself. I'm going to hop on over to the monthly time frame, or the 3-month time frame in terms of their token balances. And you can see here that they were holding about 217,000. Then in June 27th of 2024, they moved about 3,000 of that Bitcoin. And then very recently, they moved over $60 million of Bitcoin, or 10,000 Bitcoin off of one of their wallets. So this obviously is going to scare markets, and I think it just dumped more today. It literally dumped more today down to 183. So they've moved quite a bit of Bitcoin off of their balance sheet, so to speak. And obviously that's going to cause a bit of fear. People are looking at it like, what are they doing with it? Why are they going to sell it? Is it going to create more sell pressure? And so on that news, the Bitcoin market dumped. Now, the positive thing for XRP is that in the same time frame from that point in time right over here where Bitcoin was actually dumping on the fears for 5%, XRP is up 6.5%. So there is a negative correlation. For whatever reason, people are more comfortable and feel better about accumulating and buying XRP than they do Bitcoin. So really what I'm after is I want a positive and a bullish environment, and I want a stronger performer. And right now, XRP seems to be it. And from the daily time frame, you can see at this local low right here, not only have we pushed over or crossed over on a stochastic RSI, but things are looking very bullish. We had a bear trap right here. We were supported and actually broke right back into the range. We are officially above our previous resistance at 52 to 54 cents. We were supported there, and now volume has declined, and I'll just show you. From the local high right here, you can see how volume declined and now is starting to break to the upside. So I can thoroughly expect that if we break this range, and we just did today, but we'll have to close here. If we close above the 63-cent range, you're going to continue to likely see volume increase and climb as long as the market environment stays healthy. So right now, the major performer and the major play is XRP. And I would argue that's going to be up bare bones minimum to 75 cents. But, you know, it's been so long, and XRP has had so much time in this range that in a positive environment, if Bitcoin starts to break back into that $71,000 range, I think XRP is going to have some legs and actually fly. Like, I think it's going to hit $1 to $3 very shortly, and actually faster. It'll pump into that previous all-time probably faster than Bitcoin will make $100,000. So when I look at Bitcoin, okay, I'm really looking to see if it's supported and it gets bought up. And when I pull up a 10 and 20 EMA, we've crossed over on the 10 EMA over the 20 EMA. We're being supported at the 20. Yes, there was a bit of fear here, but we did put in a higher high on the wick. And so I would argue any fear is a good buying opportunity into an uptrend, especially when most of the Bitcoin is being removed from exchanges, being sucked up by ETFs like BlackRock. There's just so much global demand for an asset like this, especially with an incoming administration that's going to be very crypto friendly. And even if for whatever reason Kamala Harris was the future president, I would argue she's also going to have to play ball with crypto at this point because it's going to be a large portion of the voting base. So from my perspective, it is truly go time for something like XRP, looking extra strong relative to Bitcoin, well above that 10 EMA. As long as Bitcoin holds that 20 EMA and things remain relatively, positive, I think we're good to go up to that bare bones minimum 75-cent range, but realistically $1. Now, again, my theory remains that I don't see XRP becoming the #1 market cap, and that's just because it's a company. Equities simply do not get that big. The entire equities market does, but that's split up among many companies, right? Whereas Bitcoin is looked at as more of like a gold, and so it's a store of wealth, a store of value, and arguably something that you can hold as a reserve against inflation and monetary and fiscal policy that is negative for currency. So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, leave us a like, it helps the channel out, and then head on over to bullrunners.com to discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes per day with the very first XRP play to earn game. Okay guys, appreciate you watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.